Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd. So I sat here a week ago and was like, I think I figured out the league. I think I know who's good, I know who's bad. Turns out I know fuck all, because the Panthers beat the Rams, and that just kind of puts everything on its head. Yeah, I think in my power rankings right now, I'm fairly confident that my teams 1 through 17, and make that 2 through 18, because, I don't have a number 1 in my rankings currently. I'm not ready to put the Patriots at number 1 again. That's just, we're not dealing with that. I don't want to talk about it, but unfortunately for me, I do have to talk about it. And talk about it relatively soon, because they did play that Monday night game. But yeah, basically my teams 1 through 17 are in the exact same tier. That's the Patriots at 1, Ravens at 17, any given Sunday. And this is when the NFL is at its best, in my opinion, is when there's so much parity across the league where we really don't know who's good, who's not. Like, I still think that the Chiefs, again, you put them on a neutral field against anyone, the Chiefs are probably favored. Definitely a top 10 team, but right now they're out of the playoffs clawing and scratching for their lives, and we'll see what happens. We still have a few weeks left, but this has been one of the best NFL seasons I can remember in a while. People are calling it sloppy, bad football, oh, the NFL's having like a down year. That's just not true. There's just way more good teams than bad teams, and I'm a fan of there being more good teams than bad teams in the league. I'm not a fan when there's just like a handful of guys that that those are the contenders at the end of the year. But either way, lots to talk about in this episode, covering the last week of NFL games, touching on a little bit of college news, because lots happened in college, but that'll be the episode. So let's get right into the college football highlights a little bit. Nothing to really cover, drastically for college football anyways this week. It was rivalry week. Ohio State beats Michigan handily. I mean, Ryan Day, just to kind of pour salt on the wound a little bit, he declined a penalty that would have made it 2nd and 15, but he's like, no, it's 3rd and 5. We're going to stop him anyways. Let's just get out of here sooner. That's a great move by Ryan Day. I love that kind of bullshit in rivalry week, especially rivalry week. Whatever. Texas A&M, number 3 Texas A&M loses to Texas. Again, Arch Manning is a real NFL prospect. The people who saw him play that one Ohio State game at the start of the year, and he's like, he's terrible. Arch is really good. I know Nate Tice said it where if Arch were to declare he'd be the number 1 QB taken. That's not a stretch. It really isn't. A lot of people clowned him, but Nate is very good at what he does. If you don't know, I would follow Nate Tice across all socials. He is very good at what he does. Lane Kiffin is the LSU coach. That was a debacle. He wanted to stay and finish coaching the team and finish out the season, but obviously the off season has already started for so many other teams. College football is weird in this sense, and I think that's just what really needs to get fixed is just the overall college football system. It's kind of broken at the moment, and I don't think a lot of these people in power could actually try to do anything to fix it, because why fix things if you're getting paid millions of dollars? But I guess that's the college football highlights. Again, we're kind of done with it. It's conference championship weeks this week, then we get into the playoff, but that just means I have more time now to talk about the NFL draft. So I think going forward, I think next week I'll debut my top 15 players, or maybe I'll do a draft overview just quickly talking about the key positions, where it's a strong draft class, where it's a weaker draft class, and then we'll go from there. But I guess let's just get right into the NFL weekly update here. Starting off with Monday Night Football, Giants at Patriots. Giants 15, Patriots 33. This game was over basically as soon as it started. I mean, the Patriots went down the field, scored a touchdown, stopped them, scored a touchdown again, had a punt return touchdown, I had lots of plays on special teams. I said on Friday's episode that, this might be the letdown week, I'm going to take the Giants. I did not take the Giants plus 7.5 because I was just I don't know. Again, not a fan of the coaching staff, and not a huge fan of Jackson Dart, and again, what they're doing they just don't have people. Like, they just don't have bodies on offense. They don't have stars anywhere. They have stars on the defense, but no stars on offense anyway. So I talked myself out of it. I did take Abdul Carter to get a sack and the Giants to have over 2.5 team sacks, and those both hit. So, the picks that I give out to myself in my own mind are good picks. The picks I usually talk about here, and not great. But anyways, the Patriots are really good. Drake May is, again, an MVP frontrunner at the moment. An absolute stud. He's leading the league in passing yards, despite not having a 300 pass yard game so far this season. Just everyone's good. Kyle Williams caught another long touchdown. Kayshon Boutte is back, and he's still catching touchdowns. The offensive line, it didn't matter. I thought it would be a much bigger, no Will Campbell, no Jared Wilson. And the offensive line struggled a little bit, but I just don't think that the Giants are coached, and I don't think that the Giants really want to be out there at this point. They just seem like they're done. They're done with the season, move on to next year. This is one these bad teams where they've been fighting hard all season, and this is kind of where, for a lot of these teams, it happened way earlier in the season. The Titans were done by October. But the Giants have been fighting throughout November. And then when December hit, it was okay, fuck this, we're done. It just, they didn't have any fight left in them. And that's okay at this point. You're allowed to not have fight left in you, but I don't like that the Patriots are back to being good. And again, I thought this would be a year where, they're trending in the right direction, but not playoffs year one, especially not number 1 seed in the league year one. And again, I don't think the Patriots are a cut above the rest. Again, any given Sunday, where, I think that they can get beaten by the Texans, beaten by the Broncos, beaten by the Bills. There are a lot of teams in the AFC who are just on their tier. But unfortunately, there's 10 teams in the AFC that I think are on their tier. Patriots are really good, though. I don't know what much else there is to say other than this, actually. And I think this kind of leads into my point of everyone being on the same tier. Where yes, what are they now? Are they fucking 11-2? Yeah, that's crazy to me. 11-2 on the season. So the Patriots are 11-2 on the year. That's fantastic. That's amazing. But let's just look at the quarterbacks that they've played throughout this year. Geno Smith, Spencer Rattler, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Michael Penix, Bryce Young / Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Tua Tagovailoa, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and now Jackson Dart. I think there's 2 good quarterbacks that I just named off that list, not including Jackson Dart because he's a rookie and we don't know, whatever. The Patriots have had a very easy schedule, but that's what happens when you really suck the year before. You get an easy schedule. This is obvious. But I think that that's kind of the difference maker here, where if you would have given them, let's say the Chiefs schedule, who have had to play the Bills, the Colts, the Texans, again, just harder teams in general, I don't think the Patriots record would be 11-2. If it would be, then the Patriots, I would fully buy into them being a cut above the rest. But I just don't believe that the Patriots have really played anyone. The teams that they would have played would have been the Bills. And I don't think the Bills are a really good team. I don't think the Bills are a good team. To be fair, either. I don't know. The Patriots are fine. The Patriots are good, obviously, but we'll see come playoff time. Giants on the other side. I think the only thing I really have to say is Younghoe Koo, the kicker for the Giants, had one of the worst missed kicks ever, where it didn't even count as a missed kick. He didn't he didn't miss the field goal, down in the stat. No. He just missed the ball. And not even he swung past it. His toe hit the turf a foot before where the ball was. I don't know how that happens. I've done that before, trying to kick a ball where, I just mess up kind of my toe goes in the ground before I actually kick the ball, whatever. This guy's a professional kicker. This guy's been kicking balls for his entire life, and he does that in prime time. I love Younghoe Koo. He was a fun story, but I think this is his time is wrapping up in the league, probably. Any other Abdul Carter, the Giants' first round pick from this year, was basically left on the bench the entire first quarter for disciplinary reasons. Didn't show up for a team activity or showed up late, which he's done that a couple times before now. It's not hard to just show up on time, like especially when you're like a professional athlete getting paid like millions of dollars. Be on time. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know. I don't get it from Abdul Carter's point. But yeah, the Giants just suck, and we can move on. So we'll go back to Thursday night and the Thanksgiving games and just talk about a few things that I missed a little bit. I do want to confirm that that is the stat that I have, because I got a Micah Parsons stat here, and I think this Micah Parsons stat is pretty fun. It is. So Micah Parsons becomes the first player ever to have 12-plus sacks in his first 5 years. Again, never been done before except by Micah Parsons. That is absolutely crazy. And here's a few people that are in and around the sack totals that Micah has right now. So Micah Parsons has a sack and a half more in his career than Nick Bosa. And people might be like, okay, well, Nick Bosa's been hurt a lot of his career, so like this kind of makes sense. Nick Bosa was drafted in 2019, 2 years before Micah Parsons. But yeah, the games played are relatively similar, so okay, that's fair. Max Crosby was also drafted in 2019, albeit a later pick, but he kind of broke out immediately, and we know Max Crosby is one of the better edge rush players in this league, and he's played 30 more total games than I think Micah Parsons has. And Micah's only 2.5 sacks away from Max Crosby's totals. Jadeveon Clowney, first overall pick back in 2014. Again, he's been playing for a long time now, going into year 12? Is he in his 12th year now? Yeah, I think he's in his 12th year in the league right now. Parsons has more sacks than him. And again, Clowney was never really a sack getter. I think he's only had double-digit sacks once in his career. But he's in year 12, and Micah Parsons has already surpassed his career totals 5 years into it. It's, again, I say it a lot. I talk about it with Myles Garrett, but it is very, very impressive to see what Micah can do and how it's worked out for him and how he's doing in Green Bay, how he's transformed that defense a little bit. Good for Micah Parsons. I think the only other note that I need to clean up from this game is I talked about Frank Ragnow being back. Future Hall of Very Good center. Back, obviously didn't play last Thursday, but was looking to play like this coming week. And then he goes through like his physical with the Lions and he fails. And he has a grade 3 hamstring tear or hamstring strain, or either way. He didn't know that he had this, and this is like the worst you can get. Football players are built different. I don't know how your pain tolerance, how you don't know that you have like a really bad, again, I don't know if it's a hamstring tear or hamstring sprain, but I think a sprain, when you get to like a grade 3, it basically is a tear. So I don't know how you don't notice that. But yeah, Frank Ragnow is now back on the retired list. He is not coming back. What should have been like a morale boost for the Lions kind of goes the other way, and I don't think the Lions are going to make the playoffs. Again, they don't really control their own destiny. I don't know. Yeah, the Lions have an uphill battle to get into playoffs anyways. Chiefs and Cowboys. Chiefs 28, Cowboys 31. This Cowboys offense looks absolutely incredible. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott, like Dak Prescott is going to put himself in the MVP conversation by week 18. Is he going to win MVP? Absolutely not. But he will be in the conversation just because they will be throwing the football a ton. And he has two of the best wide receivers in the league on his team right now. And I don't know who's wide receiver one. I think I've done this conversation of like, oh, is it Pickens as a CD? And like, CD has the resume and he's been there before. But like, Pickens is fucking fantastic. George Pickens is so good. And I think that stays as one of my best takes ever in the NFL and NFL draft was George Pickens being my wide receiver one in a class that included guys like Drake London, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. And yeah, you can argue all you want of who's better, but like Drake London, Olave, Garrett Wilson, those guys were seen as like top 15 players in that class. George Pickens was like a fringe top 50 for a lot of people. Not for me. George Pickens, wide receiver 1. I sometimes know ball. George Pickens is very good. The Cowboys defense is looking better. Obviously, it's still not great, but the Chiefs, just not good enough. Again, they played very well. It started off like a little bit slow on offense, but Pat Mahomes had them kind of clawing back a little bit. He had 4 passing touchdowns in this one. Rashee Rice had a big game. Again, they tried. They did their part, but the Chiefs would have won this one if, 1, they had a running back and a proper run game going, and 2, if their defense was built properly. Because that's kind of been the Chiefs' defense over the last few years, and while they've been contending, it's been, we've got Chris Jones, and they've got a bunch of guys everywhere else who are like good enough. But now Chris Jones isn't Chris Jones. Well, he still is Chris Jones because obviously he's Chris Jones, but he's not that Chris Jones that he used to be. I was being confusing on purpose there, but all that to say is Chris Jones isn't the same player that he used to be. And while he's still very good, he's taken a step back. It's kind of like Pittsburgh and TJ Watt right now, where TJ Watt's still like, oh, he's a really good pass rusher. But I guess we'll talk about that. But you can run the football his way. James Cook just did. But Chris Jones just isn't making that same level of impact as he was. And the rest of the defense has gotten worse because of it. And that's not a Chris Jones issue. That's a Brett Veach. That's a Spags issue. It's a personnel issue of not getting better guys in there to complement what Chris Jones does. And that's going to be their downfall if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, is going to be this defense. Now, they basically have to win out now to make playoffs. They have the Texans this Sunday night, which should be a very fun game. So if they can get past the Texans, then it's the Chargers who stink, the Titans who stink, the Broncos who are the Broncos, and then the Raiders who stink. They beat the Texans. The path of the playoffs is definitely there. Is it a very tough path to the playoffs? Yes, it is. But 11 wins should get you into the wild card. I guess we'll see. And then the final Thanksgiving game, the one that we haven't talked about at all, Bengals at Ravens. Bengals 32, Ravens 14. Joe Burrow back in his debut, and he played well enough anyways. I think it was, again, people are like, oh, Joe Burrow was fantastic. He was so good. He was fine. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. People like, Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback, yes, but in this game, like, let's just call a spade a spade. He was good against a bad Ravens defense. And, again, attempted 46 passes, only 260 yards, almost 50% completion percentage. Again, he was good enough to beat the Ravens, and that's fine at the end of the day. Chase Brown was running the ball. Jamar Chase had a good game. Again, the Bengals did their thing. The Bengals defense also stepped up as well. But this is really about the Baltimore Ravens and about Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't have his athleticism and his mobility, he doesn't look like a very good quarterback. And that's not to say that Lamar isn't a very good quarterback. He's still a top 3 quarterback in the league, multi-time MVP. Like, we all know the things about Lamar Jackson. But it just changes the dynamics of this offense so much. Because if you don't have to worry about Lamar scrambling, keeping your head on a swivel of where's Lamar at like all times, defense suddenly becomes much, much easier. And again, it becomes much harder for Derrick Henry too, where, you don't have that rushing threat of Lamar out of the backfield or in an option game. Yeah, it's easier to just key in on Derrick Henry because the weapons aren't great for the Ravens. Like, Zay Flowers is a good wide receiver. I thought he was going to take like a bigger step up, and he just hasn't. Mark Andrews is old at this point. Isaiah Likely almost had a touchdown, but fumbled it through the end zone. But that was just a good play by, I don't know who made that play on defense by the Bengals, but it was a good, I think it was Geno Stone. Was it Geno Stone? I do have the box score right in front of me, and I should just look it up. Who forced that fumble? Jordan Battle. Basically the same person. Not really. They both play safeties. Either way. Yeah, this Ravens team just isn't good enough. And luckily for them, the AFC North is terrible, where they're at, what are they? They're at 6-6. The Steelers are at 6-6, and the Bengals are at 4-8. The fact that the 4-8 Bengals have a chance to make the playoffs just because the Ravens and the Steelers just really suck this year. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate on many counts. It's like the AFC North has been one of the strongest divisions over the last decade, and now they're comparable to the NFC South right now, which is just a shame to say. But if Lamar's not healthy, this Ravens team just isn't good. It's like the Bills and Josh Allen, where Josh Allen needs to be Superman a lot of the time for them to win games, extend drives, where the Ravens don't have their version of that right now, and it's a big loss. On to the Black Friday game. Bears 24, Eagles 15. The Bears, the 1 seed in the NFC. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but they've been on a heater. And they've been getting better as the season has progressed. The offensive line is looking great, cohesive. They are opening things up in the run game like crazy. And the running game has been fantastic this year. I'll pull up the stats, but DeAndre Swift had a big game. Kyle Monangai had a huge game. Yeah, Kyle Monangai, 22 rushes, 130 yards. DeAndre Swift, 18 rushes, 125 yards. They both had TDs. They're good. And, again, the passing attack can be better. Caleb Williams was only 17 of 36, below 50% completion. That's not good enough. But when your run game is that great, does it really matter? I don't know. And that is one thing when you look at the Bears is I don't think DeAndre Swift is a very good running back. I think he's good enough. But, they don't have, a stud running back. And I think if the Bears did have a stud running back, holy shit, this offense would be incredible. If the Raiders did the smart thing and didn't take Ashton Jeanty at 4th overall and they took Membu, I see a world where Jeanty slides to 10 and that's who the Bears take over Colston Loveland. And if the Bears would have done that, I think that Ashton Jeanty would have had an offensive player of the year type season. Again, this is all projection and hypotheticals, but they're good. Obviously they're good. And the defense is getting better. This has kind of been the weak point for the Bears throughout the season is this defense. But now with Nahshon Wright having a breakout season, forced a fumble on Jalen Hurts when he was doing the push, kind of came around the outside, just ripped the ball out of his hands, incredible play. Kevin Byard had another interception. And then they get Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back. Now that secondary that I talked about is now one of the better units in the league. And that front seven that is still injured and waiting to get their linebackers back is still strong enough now that they have a really good secondary behind them. And now this whole Bears team is just playing better as a unit. Again, they have a very tough game against the Packers. Are the Bears at home? If the Bears are at home, I might take the Bears. They're playing the Packers on the road. But then the fact that the number 1 seed in the NFC is a 6.5 point dog to, again, the Packers who are 1 game behind them. They're right there. It makes sense. But a 6.5 point dog when the Bears have the better record right now, it's crazy to me. But that's for Friday's show. The Bears are really fun. The Bears are really fun. They've been a joy to watch. Ben Johnson took his shirt off in the locker room after it and went crazy. Vibes are good for the Bears. Vibes are absolutely terrible for the Eagles. I don't know where to even start with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, not good. A lot of people after the Super Bowl being Jalen Hurts, top 5, top 3 quarterback in this league. Absolutely not. I was very clear last offseason, Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback. That team that he had last year was absolutely phenomenal. And Jalen Hurts played the part that he needed to play in order for them to win a Super Bowl. And that's not to say that, his playoff run was fantastic. He has shown up in big games and had really great moments where the team needs to rely on him. Haven't seen that at all this year. And he's been bad. The offensive play calling has been bad. The offensive line has been bad. Things are not going right for the Eagles. And I'm not going to point blame at the defense. I think the defense is playing really well. Where it's you can just be well, they just allowed almost 300 yards rushing. Yeah, that's what happens when your defense gets so tired throughout the game because they're on the field 24/7 because you can't extend a drive to save your goddamn life. I actually will check what the possession was almost double. The Bears had possession for 39 minutes, and the Eagles only had it for 20. That's why your defense is tired. That's why they're giving up holes in the run game, is because, they're playing twice as long as they should be. I think the Eagles' defense is very good. They play the Chargers this week, and we know how bad that offensive line is. I think that the Eagles are going to make the playoffs, probably win their division. But how can I have any confidence in them? Where on the other hand, it's like they still have all of these really good players on their team. Where, if they, again, all you have to do once the playoff starts is put a string of 3-4 games together and you're Super Bowl champions. Again, I'm making it sound way easier than it does. It's like, be healthy, play 4 great games in a row. Doesn't sound like a hard thing, but I don't know. Like, I can't count out the Eagles because they do just have so many good players. But holy shit, do they suck, and the vibes are terrible, and Nick Sirianni is a bad coach, and I told everyone he's a bad coach, but I digress. I think that we can move on to the next game here, because this is a game I don't have to talk about. Jags at Titans. Jags 25, Titans 3. I don't have to talk about this game. The Tennessee Titans are very, very bad. The Jags are much better than the Tennessee Titans. Shout out to Jacoby Myers after getting acquired in that trade from the Raiders. 6 catches, 90 yards, and a TD for him in this one. Trevor Lawrence and him definitely have that connection going. There's really not they didn't run the ball well. Trevor Lawrence played a fine game. The defense had a few sacks, didn't intercept. Again, I have nothing really to talk about. The Jags won this game because the Tennessee Titans are absolutely terrible at football. Simple enough. I think that's simple enough. How many return yards did DK get? So, that's the other thing, too. So, Shamir DK, I talked about last week of how he's on pace to break Darren Sproles all-time, all-purpose yards in a season. It's because, one, the new kick return rule, it's easier to return kicks and yada, yada, yada. But, 2, the Titans are so bad, lots of teams score points on them. So he just has way more opportunities to score. Regardless, we'll move on. We'll keep going. Falcons at Jets. Falcons 24, Jets 27. This was the A.D. Mitchell breakout game. He had 8 catches, 102 yards, and a TD. I don't know what sound that was, but this is why the Jets added him in this trade, the Sauce Gardner trade with the Colts, is because they knew that A.D. Mitchell had the talent to be a potential stud wide receiver in this league. And A.D. Mitchell does have the talent to be a stud wide receiver in this league. I'm excited to see what the Jets can do next year. This year, again, we know the season's done. They're playing tough. Their special teams is playing very well. It's another win for the Jets because their special teams is playing so great. I'm buying into the Aaron Glenn Jets coaching era, which again sucks for me as a Miami fan because I see the Bills and they've got Josh Allen. They're going to be good. The Patriots are the Patriots and they're fine. And now here are the Jets and the Dolphins at the bottom, where the Dolphins are currently going to stay with Mike McDaniel and Tua for next year, where the Jets don't know who their quarterback is, which isn't a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. And 2, they have an offensive line. They got 2 wide receivers that I like. They got a running back that I like. They have guys on this team. They have building blocks. If they were to get a Dante Moore, a Fernando Mendoza, one of these rookie QBs to plug and play immediately, that QB is going into a pretty good system. The offensive line, young, talented, and good weapons. It's again, this is talk for the offseason, lots of stuff, but I'm cautiously optimistic for what the Jets are going to do next year. This year, good morale victory. They're a bad team, getting wins against the Falcons, who are also a bad team. But talent-wise, you should be losing to a team like the Falcons, just based off talent. But talent doesn't always win. Hard work wins. Aaron Glenn has his guys playing hard right now, despite the lack of talent, where the Falcons and Raheem Morris stink. I don't know how any of the Falcons guys have jobs at the end of the season. Terry Fontenot especially. Again, this defense that plays great one week, terrible another. Like, how does Tyrod Taylor, like, throw all over you? And he didn't really, but the Jets should not be scoring this many points in general. And I know, oh, well, the Falcons, they have injuries on their side. I don't care. The Falcons are more talented across the board than the Jets. Should have been an easier win, but good on the Jets. Good on 41-year-old kicker Nick Folk kicking the game winner. It was a long game winner, too, with the win, so credit to the old man for kicking that through. I think that Aaron Glenn said, like, oh, my former teammate Nick Folk, when Aaron Glenn, like, played for the Jets back in, like, the late 2000s kind of thing. I think it was, like, 2008, but, like Nick Folk has been in the league for that long. Again, being, like, a good kicker, not like a Hall of Fame kicker, not like a Vinatieri, a guy who did it for 20 years and did it at, like, a great level, but just, again, like a Nick Folk, someone who's just been a kicker for almost, like, 2 decades, making, like, $1 million some a year, and just be consistently good, never the best, never the worst, just, I'm a good kicker, make millions. So I guess we can keep going. Rams at Panthers. Rams 28, Panthers 31. The Panthers offense figured out how to throw a football again. Again, after last week, they definitely should have beat the Niners. And I don't know what kind of game plan they had going, but it was absolutely terrible. And this one, oh, they remembered to throw the football again. Oh, look, we have Ted McMillan. Oh, look, we have Jalen Coker. Let's use these guys. And they did. Bryce looked good. Tet looked good. The run game looked good between Chuba and Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard definitely still, like, again, they paid Chuba last year. They're going to use him. For any, like, Rico Dowdle fantasy owners who are, like, pissed off about, like, the usage, like, they did pay Chuba. Rico's not going to be on this team next year. I think I can say that with confidence, but I don't know. The Panthers are another one of these teams where I don't think that they're very good, but they just beat the Rams. And again, I think the Rams kind of beat themselves, maybe a little cocky, overconfident, like whatever. A lot of people hyping up this secondary, like, oh, Emmanuel Forbes having a breakout year, Darion Kendrick having a great year, Cam Kitchens, Cam Curl. And they got torched by Bryce Young and Ted McMillan and Jalen Coker and so on. I'll actually look at what, like, the numbers were for... Yeah, Coker, 4 catches, 74 yards, a TD. Ted only had 1 catches, but it was for 43 yards and a TD. Like, they did their part. They absolutely did what they needed to do. Derek Brown was a monster in this one. And then, yeah, you look on the other side. Like, Matt Stafford, he breaks the record for most touchdowns in a row without throwing an interception, which I think was 28. And what does he do on the next, like, play, or next series as soon as he breaks that record? Throws an interception. I was like, okay, fuck, whatever. And then what does he do on the very next series after that? Throws a pick six. And that was quite literally the difference in this game. That pick six by Mike Jackson, very good play by him. Like, the Rams are obviously still really good. This isn't like, got to be wary of the Rams right now. Like, the Rams still are one of the best teams in the league. I think top to bottom they are built the best as well, but like, this is a good, like, come back down the earth game for the Rams of, like, we're not as good as we think that we are. Let's keep moving. Let's not get overconfident. Let's not get cocky. Like, this isn't a bad loss for the Rams. I think it's a needed loss for the Rams, if anything, and I think that they should now continue to play well, keep going, roll, but Panthers just had a really good game plan. Shout out to J.C. Horn, too. Playing fantastic football. Devontae Adams, another 2 touchdowns for him in this one. That brings him to 14 touchdowns on the year. He's on pace for 20. I think he's now joined Jerry Rice and Marvin Harrison Jr. as the only guys who are like 32 plus to have 14 plus touchdowns in a year. That's crazy company. And now Davante Adams is up to 117 receiving touchdowns for his career, which is 7th all time. There was a time a few years ago where I was worried about Davante Adams' like career trajectory and whether or not he'll be a Hall of Famer. Because again, 7th all time in TDs, you should be a Hall of Famer. But when he left the Packers, went to the Raiders, and then had 2 years with the Raiders and then the Jets, and I was like, fuck, is Davante Adams done? Like, I knew deep down that Davante Adams was still one of the best receivers in the league. He just had some really bad QB play that he was dealing with. And now that he is in LA with Matt Stafford, he's not even the number one guy. They still got Puka Nacua. It's so much fun to watch. Like, Davante Adams is still a stud. 14 touchdowns on the season is absolutely nuts. But doing it when you're 32, again, Davante Adams, like, I think he'll play like a few more years, I would assume anyways, where him being top 5 in receiving TDs all time is definitely a possibility. I'm interested to see how it shapes out at the end of the day, but lots of time for that. Next game up here, Saints at Dolphins. Saints 17, Dolphins 21. So I said on Friday's show that I want this game to go two ways. I want the Dolphins to lose, and then whatever. We suck. We knew this. Draft pick is fine. Or I want the Dolphins to kick the absolute shit out of the Saints. We did not do that. We won by 4, and the Saints did have a chance to win the game at the end because we didn't return an onside kick, but this brings me to my main point. Over all the time in my life that I've been a Dolphins fan, and it's been far too long at this point, the Dolphins are known for just being an average team. And when I say average team, I mean back in the day it was 8-8, but like just like around 500, 9-7, 9-8, 7-10, all those just in and around there, where you're never bad enough to get a top 10, top 5 pick, but you're never good enough to make a playoff spot. And that's the sweet spot that the Dolphins have been living in for almost 2 decades now. And here we are again, another meaningless win against the Saints for nothing. Again, there's things to build off of. The defense is playing better, and that's fantastic. Devon Achane, an absolute stud. Again, please never leave this team. But we should have whooped them. Like, Tua sucked on Sunday. He was terrible. And that's just who he's not a very good quarterback. I think that, again, a couple years ago, he showed the flashes of brilliance and stuff like that, but he's not that same guy from even 2 years ago. I don't know where that guy went, but he is just making dumb decision after dumb decision. He cannot push the ball down the field. And here we are yet again, living in this just state of mediocrity. And we have the Jets coming up, and we should beat the Jets, and that would push us to 6 wins on the season. I would just like to finish with a top 10 pick. I don't think we are going to finish with a top 10 pick, but it is what it is. The Dolphins, again, just ultimately piss me off because, of course they do. I will add, though, Devon Achane becomes the 6th player since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger with 20-plus rush TDs and 10-plus receiving TDs in their first 40 games. Devon Achane's a stud, one of the most underrated players across the league. Very, very, very good at what he does. One of my favorite Dolphins currently. But Saints on the other side. You're a bad team. We let you hang around in this one for far, far too long. And I think that's where that we can ultimately leave it. Next game up here. Cardinals at Buccaneers. Cardinals 17, Bucks 20. I don't really have a ton to add on this game. The Bucks squeak out a win. Baker Mayfield, despite being hurt, still does his Baker things with the scrambles and getting out of like plays that he really shouldn't. Bucky Irving was back, and he looked okay in his kind of like debut. Chris Godwin had a good game. They're looking to get Mike Evans back for this coming week too, and all of a sudden this Bucks offense could be looking pretty good, like Bucky Irving like shakes the rust off a little bit, and now they have the trio of Mike Evans, Godwin, and Emeka Ibuka. Maybe there's still time for the Bucks to turn into like one of these better teams, but again, any given Sunday right now this year, Doesn't matter who it is. Anybody can really win at the end of the day. And the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett attempted 40 passes, threw for 300 yards like he normally does because the Cardinals are always behind in these games. Marvin Harrison Jr. took over the role from Michael Wilson. He didn't have a 100-yard game, but he had a good game for Marvin Harrison Jr. standards so far in his young career. But yeah, I got nothing to say about the Cardinals. Josh Sweat's having a career year, so shout out to Josh Sweat. I should probably put him in my breakout players for this year too, because how many sacks is he up now? He has 11 sacks on the season. I think that matches his career high from 2019. So shout out to Josh Sweat. Not a lot to say for this game though. Next game up here, 49ers at Browns. 49ers 26, Browns 8. 49ers win this one easy. Brock Purdy, good enough. Christian McCaffrey, good enough. This was just the weather was bad, it was windy, it was cold. Not fun to pass the football in this game, but it is funny. Something I will say, and I'm definitely, this is just me box score watching at the moment, but Cameron was texting me. Cameron, our resident Niners fan, texted me about Shadour's not looking this great. Shadour's not all of a sudden, but he finished the day 16 of 25 for 149 yards and a pass TD. Brock Purdy finished the day 16 of 29 for 168 yards and a passing TD. Those stat lines are virtually the same, but talk to Cameron, Brock Purdy had a good game. You talk to Shadour, he didn't play well, and I really don't care. It's funny to point out. Again, nothing really to say for the Niners. They get a win that they should. All of their guys played well. Shout out to Robert Saleh and this defense for again getting these guys playing at a level that they probably shouldn't be capable of playing at. And yes, you're playing the Browns, so it makes it a lot easier. Do I have any real notes for this one? Browns, Myles Garrett gets his 19th sack on the season, closing in on that record, and he gets it done against Trent Williams, where no one could have stopped Myles Garrett on this play. I don't know, again, he's listed right now, I think he's listed at 6'5", 275, but that 275 is also what his combine weight is. I feel like Myles Garrett's definitely closer to around 300 pounds right now, and the sack that he got on Brock Purdy against Trent Williams, where he teleported. Quite literally, Trent Williams, again, one of the best tackles of this generation, future Hall of Famer, is kind of he kicked out and Myles Garrett kind of faked that he was going to go outside and just jumped to the left and just cut in. Again, I don't understand how you can be that big and move that quickly, that agile, but again, that's what makes Myles Garrett generational, crazy play by him. That's truly one of the most freakish things that you can see. And if you haven't seen it, go look at that play, please. Harold Fannin, the rookie tight end for them, had a touchdown. He's a lot of fun. A lot of people overthought Harold Fannin, where they saw a tight end at Bowling Green catch for 1,300 yards. He's he runs a little funny. He can't do that in the NFL. What's he doing in the NFL? The exact same thing he did at college. Not 1,300 yards, but he's having a very productive season as a rookie tight end. He's almost phased David Njoku out of this offense a little bit too. We'll keep going though. Texans at Colts. Texans 20, Colts 16. The Texans win streak continues, mainly because of their defense here. Their defense is absolutely insane. And I've been given a lot of shine to Will Anderson in the pass rush, and I will talk about them more in a bit. Mainly Danielle Hunter, who I haven't talked about a ton this year. But I have to start off the secondary, and I have to start off with one of the best corners in the league. It is Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley, over his last 6 games, has allowed 0 yards, 0 yards, 11 yards, 9 yards, 30 yards, and 7 yards on 5 catches on 19 targets. He's fantastic. And again, we talk about, this Texans defense so much. I think this is one of the best defenses that we've seen in quite a long time. and they're just good everywhere. It's the secondary, it's the defense, and now with CJ Stroud back, this offense looks more functional. Stroud didn't have a great game, but he played much, much better than Davis Mills, and this is a tough Colts defense. Yeah, Sauce Gardner left with an injury, and they are injured just kind of in spots there, but it's still a tough defense to play against regardless. And Stroud had a good game. The running game was fine. Like, the passing game is getting going. They play the Chiefs this week. That's another incredibly tough test. The Texans are a lot of fun, though. The Texans are a lot of fun. They're in my top 10 teams anyways. Like, to me, the difference between like the 10-2 Broncos and the 6-4 Colts, both of those records just sound wrong too. The Texans are 7-5. So the difference between the 7-5 Colts versus the 10-2 Broncos, not existent. They both have really good defenses, and they both have offenses that leave there's things left to be desired. But one thing is that the offensive line has been getting better for the Texans as the season gone on, because that was their one weak point. Where the Broncos, it's the exact same, because you want to know what their weak point is? It's quarterback, it's Bo Nix, but we don't really have to talk about that until we need to talk about it. But last note here for Danielle Hunter. So he added, did he have a sack in this one? I don't know did he have a sack? Sheldon Rankins had the lone sack in this one. Either way, I'm still going to talk about Danielle Hunter because he's still having a terrific season. I think no, he's not even listed. Either way, he's having a great year. I guess I should find out how many sacks he actually has this year, and then I can do my thing properly. Fine. Okay. Where the fuck is he? Hunter. There he is. Danielle Hunter has 11 sacks on the year this year. I think he's top 5, whatever. I mentioned, so in my off-season hot takes, I had a hot take that Danielle Hunter is going to be a Hall of Famer eventually. Obviously, he's still playing, and there's the eligibility rules where he's not even qualified to be in the Hall of Fame. We all know this. But eventually. And you might be like, oh, okay, that's like a little optimistic. It's Danielle Hunter. He's had a very good career, but like, whatever. Danielle Hunter is currently 1.5 sacks away from passing Khalil Mack on the all-time list. Khalil Mack, who came in 1 year before Danielle Hunter into the league. And, again, Danielle Hunter, Defensive Player of the Year, or not Defensive Player, Khalil Mack, Defensive Player of the Year, like all that stuff. The fact that Danielle Hunter is 1.5 sacks from passing Khalil Mack in their careers is insane to me. Like, we all know, and I did this thing with Parsons earlier, but, like, I think I could ask, like, a bunch of people of, like, oh, who has more career sacks? Khalil Mack or Danielle Hunter? And 90% of people would pick Khalil Mack. Danielle Hunter's had a fantastic, terrific career, and again, it might amount to the Hall of Fame at some point. I think he's at 112 sacks, career sacks right now, and, you know, just 3 more, like, very good productive years out of him. All of a sudden, he's pushing into, like, the 130s, 140s, and then there's no denying him the Hall of Fame. Like, I think for the Hall of Fame, like, once you kind of get past that, like, 130 sack mark, like, you're almost locked in. Again, don't take my word for that. But either way, gotta shout out Danielle Hunter. Colts on the other side, I mentioned it quickly, but Sauce Gardner leaves with an injury. Fortunately for him, it's just like a hamstring, like, strain, and he's just kind of, like, week to week at this point. Daniel Jones, again, he has a broken leg, and it was very evident that he had a broken leg, but he played, like, decently well. The Colts have just been on, like, a steady decline since hitting their peak almost, like, a month ago, where, like, they're still, like, again, they're still a very good team, and, like, again, any given Sunday, the Colts can beat anyone who's above them in my rankings, but also lose to anyone who's below them in the rankings. It wouldn't shock me. It just feels like things are just going the wrong way for them. Where everything was working for them that first half of the season, and now injuries are piling up, other teams are getting better while they're kind of getting worse. Like, that division's, like, in the open right now. It is anyone's division to really win. Right now, it's the Jags and the Colts tied for that division, with the Jags holding the tiebreaker currently. The Texans are only 1 game behind them, and then obviously we know where the Titans are because they're the Titans. I don't know how this division is going to go, how it's going to shake out at the end of the day, but the Colts need to play better. They need to win these games, and we'll see what happens. We'll move on, though. Vikings at Seahawks. Vikings 0, Seahawks 26. Not a ton to say about the Seahawks. Like, really. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Their defense is absolutely fantastic. Very, 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 very good at what they do. Shout out to DeMarcus Lawrence, who is having a bit of like a career resurgence. Like, he's having his best year since 2019, and that's, again, a crazy thing to say about a guy. Again, 6 years ago, he's playing as good as he did 6 years ago. Like, good job, DeMarcus Lawrence. There's a reason that you will be nominated for the damn, that old dude's still playing some good ball award when I do post those awards. Yeah, the Seahawks absolutely took care of business. I don't really have much notes for them because they did exactly what they were supposed to do against a Vikings team led by Max Brosmer. And you might be sitting here but like, Jason, on Friday you said that, oh, maybe Max Brosmer could be. Yes, I did. And I was wrong about that. I was very, very wrong about the capabilities of Max Brosmer. I apologize. I won't believe in Max Brosmer ever again, because that was one of the worst starts I've ever seen from a quarterback. And yeah, that was just, it was bad. Justin Jefferson had 2 catches for 4 yards. Again, I literally have the stats in front of me, so I could just read it off the paper I have, but it was bad. It was very bad. I mean, it was close in kind of the first quarter, and the Vikings were driving, and then Brosmer, he tries to escape a sack, but then tries to throw it away because he doesn't want to, take them out of, the potential chance for going for it on fourth, and then right to the other guy, pick 6. Yeah, who was it on about? Yeah, Justin Jefferson, 2 catches for fucking 4 yards. He's pissed. He did not talk to the media after Sunday's game. I think the first time in his career where he just didn't want to speak to the media. Where, yeah, fair. I get it. Justin Jefferson was on track to break all of these receiving totals, and it's all of his marks through first 6 years of his career, he's been breaking all the totals, and then the first year he gets bad QB play. He's still having a good season. He'll probably still get 1,000 yards on the season somehow. But for Justin Jefferson, 1,000 yards is a spit in the face. It's bad. Again, at the end of the day, I don't know where the Vikings go from here. They need to fire their GM. He's done a very, very bad job. And this is probably going to be more of a Friday's show thing, because they did cut Adam Thielen, and I have some thoughts about that, especially because of what they gave up in that trade for Adam Thielen. But, yeah, Max Brosmer, bad. Very bad. Worse than J.J. McCarthy. But J.J. McCarthy's also very bad. So who really cares at the end of the day? What game is next here? Bills at Steelers. Bills 26, Steelers 7. Josh Allen records his 76th rushing touchdown of his career, surpassing Cam Newton for the most by a quarterback in NFL history. Shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to James Cook. Those are the only guys who deserve shout outs. Because if it's not for Josh Allen scrambling, extending drives, getting first downs, and again, his stat line was not great when you look at it. 15 of 23, 123 yards, a passing touchdown and interception, and then 38 yards rushing and a touchdown. They're fine numbers, but again, this is why we don't box score watch, because you look at that, you're Josh Allen didn't really play that great. You watch that game, Josh Allen is the only reason why they moved the ball. Obviously, yes, James Cook had 32 rushes for 144 yards. He's a big reason why they also moved the ball. But any passing down, Josh Allen needed to scramble for his life to find someone. It was bad. Again, this Bills offense is just James Cook and Josh Allen. That is it. This defense isn't good as well. But luckily, they played the Steelers, who are absolutely terrible. Literally, like, the Steelers are very, very bad. Yeah, and I guess, I don't know, let's just talk about the Steelers a little bit. Aaron Rodgers left the game. He got absolutely smoked, cut his nose with his helmet. And again, I don't know. We get too complacent sometimes in everything, but especially in sports and sporting equipment. I don't know why someone hasn't reinvented how a football helmet should be worn or whatever. It should not be as easy as like me grabbing the face mask and just pushing up and you all of a sudden don't have a helmet anymore. That should just not happen. Your helmet should not be able to leave your head by just pushing off with all the straps done up. But I don't know. I don't know why we haven't figured out a new way to make a helmet or, make it not 5 pounds and made out of metal. And I know it's not probably metal. It's like, oh, it's an alloy. Shut up. Yeah, the Steelers. The Steelers suck. The Steelers are a very bad team. They are so not fun to watch too. Where do I even start? On offense, again, we're talking about bad trades in the offseason. George Pickens. George Pickens gets traded to the Steelers, or gets traded to the Cowboys, and we all know how well George Pickens is doing this year, but George Pickens has more receiving yards than all of the Steelers wide receivers combined. That is fucking terrible. And again, when you look at the trade like that, it'd be like, oh, how did they give up George Pickens? The George Pickens trade was fine in a vacuum of okay, they bring in DK Metcalf, they kind of play the same role, we'll trade away George Pickens, but then not bringing in any other type of receiving help to pair up with DK Metcalf is kind of what this team's downfall is. I mean, there's a lot of other things that also went wrong, but the other thing I'd also like to point out is you paid DK Metcalf $30 million to do what he's doing this season. You gave him the extension, you traded for him. George Pickens, even just going into this year, right now, George Pickens is obviously much better than DK Metcalf in any rankings, but even going into this year, I would have put George Pickens and DK Metcalf on a same tier. And you traded for one guy, paid him a lot of money, and you kind of kicked the other guy out the door who was much younger, and now he is much better. Steelers have a lot of issues, and I have not been a fan of GM Omar Khan since he's taken over from, I forget who their longtime GM was before that, but I think he's done a very bad job of just managing this roster in general. I mean, they just gave TJ Watt a massive extension, and TJ Watt, the pass rusher, this is what I was talking about earlier. TJ Watt, the pass rusher, still very, very good at what he does. TJ Watt, the run defender, a liability. You know where they wanted to run with James Cook 90% of the time? On that right side towards TJ Watt and move him off the ball, and they were able to move him off the ball. I don't know how it gets better for the Steelers anytime soon. I don't know where their young, productive talent is going to come from in the near future. You look at that Steelers roster, who are the young players that, going into next year that, you hope they develop into a star? Troy Fautanu, their left tackle, who they drafted in 2024. I guess. Derek Harmon, who was their first round pick this year, who's been good this year, but injured. The Steelers don't have young players. They're old. They're so old. And it's showing now. This team is built terribly. This is a team that is in desperate need of a full rebuild. I would be trading, again, the TJ Watts, the Cam Haywards. You want to finish your career as Steeler. I mean, it's a lot easier for TJ Watt because they gave him a big contract and no one's going to trade for that big contract. But I would look to trade Alex Highsmith away. I would maybe look to trade away Joey Porter Jr. I would look to, again, they have to retool. They have to reset. They're probably still going to finish with 9 wins anyways on the season and still keep Mike Tomlin with his 500 record or above 500 record. Either way, the Steelers stink. Next game here, Raiders at Chargers. Raiders 14, Chargers 31. Not a ton to talk about in this game. Justin Herbert broke his hand. Trey Lance went in, and I was like, Trey Lance. Trey Lance is going to be starting on a team next year, by the way. I can almost guarantee that, where someone in need of a bridge quarterback or again, a vet starter to come in and maybe just like, play for the rookie. Trey Lance is going to play somewhere, and Trey Lance is going to be very good next year. That is the stamp of approval, my guarantee. I still believe in Trey Lance. Maybe the Vikings. The Vikings are going to need a QB next year. I don't think they're going to go into the season with J.J. McCarthy as their sole starter. Maybe Trey Lance comes in, he competes with him, Trey Lance wins that job, and all of a sudden, look, the Vikings are back to contending again because, I think Trey Lance will be starting, and I think Trey Lance will be a good starter next year. That's my nugget from this Chargers game where, Trey Lance had to come in for like a few plays while Justin Herbert was getting his hand wrapped. Justin Herbert broke his hand, had hand surgery on it. Apparently he's good to go for next week, I guess. Anyways, the Chargers still suck. They just play the Raiders. Simple enough. Kamani Vidal had a good game. Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey had good games. This is again, the Chargers took care of business. They should take care of business. Raiders on the other side, I was like, maybe like Chip Kelly getting fired, maybe it'll get like a little boost to the offense. Absolutely not. It was fine. It's bad. Their offensive line is so bad. I forget who makes the graphic, but on Twitter, someone posts out, it's like, the rushing success rate of every offensive line of outside the tackles, between the tackles and the guard, between the guard and center, whatever. And most teams have at least a single green line, sometimes multiple green lines of showing their success rate. The Raiders are the only one where it's just red across the entire board. Raiders are bad. The Raiders are terrible. Brock Bowers, though, had a phenomenal catch where one hand basically off the ground grabbed that. I had a great fantasy day with Brock Bowers, but it's crazy to me that this is the Raiders are terrible. Pete Carroll needs to be fired. There's a lot of things wrong with the Raiders, but can you even fire Pete Carroll while you're still paying 4 other coaches? I talk about Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, of not having money, and he's cash poor. Asset wise, he's a billionaire. He's got, again, the team and everything, the stadium. Cash wise, poor. And I think the reason why he's cash poor is because he's still paying millions of dollars for all of these coaches who don't coach his team anymore. But we'll keep going. Last game here. Broncos at Commanders. Broncos 27, Commanders 26. This game went to overtime. This is why I don't believe the Broncos. The Commanders are a bad team. Bad defense. Bad offense. And a hurt offense, too. They got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. Again, that's a whole other thing. I don't know why Chris Collinsworth was pronouncing it Mariota and not Mariota, like everyone else has for the last decade. But whatever. It doesn't matter. But again, this is why I can't buy into the Broncos. Because a team like the Commanders, who are bad on defense, have a backup quarterback playing, don't have a run game, don't really have passing weapons. Terry McLaurin was back and he played well. But you should be much better. You are a 10-2 now. A 10-2 team. You should wipe the floor with the Commanders. And they almost lost this game. The Commanders stuck around. Again, credit to Dan Quinn. Credit to Marcus Mariota. Credit to the defense for playing relatively strong. But it needs to be better from the Broncos. And this is why I can't buy in, because they infuriate me. Bo Nix especially. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. The fuck. What was Bo Nix in this one? 29 of 45. It's just, I don't buy into it. Now that Dobbins is gone too, people thought this was, going to be the emergence of RJ Harvey as the starter, and RJ Harvey hasn't been good. I would be looking to maybe add another running back, or in fantasy wise anyways, maybe pick up a Jaleel McLaughlin, who's also not very good, but I don't know. I have so many questions about this Broncos offense that isn't the defense or the offensive line. And I think that we can leave it at that. Commanders, again, credit to you guys for sticking around in this one. Marcus Mariota, he's playing really good football. I give him a ton of credit for what he's doing in these absences, because he's not playing on a very good team. I do give Cliff Kingsbury some credit too, because the offensive schemes anyways has been good. And I think Kingsbury will get another shot at a head coaching job eventually, but just probably won't be this year. Zach Ertz, 10 catches, 106 yards. Good job, old man. But really the only thing I really have to talk about is Treylon Burks. If you know the name Treylon Burks, he was part of that A.J. Brown trade where the Titans essentially traded away A.J. Brown to draft Treylon Burks, and that obviously didn't end up well, and he has been injured, and now he is on the Commanders. But he had an OBJ-like catch, grabbing up one hand, one of the best catches of the year. There were a lot of great catches this week. There was the Puka Nacua one against the Panthers where he had a sick one-handed catch. The Brock Bowers one, again, another one-handed catch, almost off the ground, and then this Treylon Burks one. Good week for catches, but again, the Broncos confuse me so much because a 10-2 team should be able to go into Washington and kick the shit out of them. And the Broncos did not kick the shit out of anyone because the Broncos don't know how to kick the shit out of teams. But that is your Week 13 recap. I guess I'm done here. It's snowing outside. It looks nice. What do I have on? Got exams coming up very, very soon. I got my first two on Friday. Finishing out school here. I'm very ready for break. I'm very ready for new material as well. Yeah. I don't know. Do I have to say anything else? I don't think so. Not really. Yeah. Shout out to the Woodsman A team going to Ontario, finishing third place. It's crazy. It just makes me that much more excited for next year when the first year guys get on A team, and now because no offense to the current A team, but from the way that the coaches have talked about how they did in their first year, they weren't as good as us. So that means if they're doing great this year, the B team, who would be the A team next year, should do even better. Again, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. We're literally almost a full year away from that stuff, but I'm excited. It's a lot of fun. I'm still enjoying college. Again, I'm excited for Christmas. I'm excited to get home, see my friends, see my family, all that stuff. But yeah, I guess that'll do it then. If you have liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.